Good Thursday evening, and thanks so much for joining us tonight at 6:30. Well, today, one of those days, unlike the rest of the week, felt a little bit cooler outside. A lot of us experiencing some clouds today and even a bit of showers in some areas. And Joe, it has been dry across northern Michigan, so we know we could probably use the rain. Are we going to see any more rain tonight at all?
Not really. I mean, there's still a little bit in our southern areas. If you're in Manistee, Clare, you've had some rain today, Ludington as well. But that's kind of coming to an end. And really, Maya, to answer your question, I don't think there'll be a whole lot more tonight, or for that matter, even tomorrow on our Fridays. Kind of a dry end to the week. A little cooler near Lake Huron. You know, your dad lives over there, Maya. Yep. Maybe low 60s in some spots. Otherwise, we're looking at some 70s as you head further west. And I know we were talking about, you probably heard this all week, like it's going to cool down. It is going to a little bit. But looking ahead next week, there's just no real sign of any fall weather on the way. It stays kind of mild. So we'll take a look at all that a little later.
All right, thank you so much, Joe. Our top story tonight. Back in May, we told you about a proposal to make a one-time $10 million payment to Housing North. It would support their Rapid Response Housing Fund. State Representative John Roth advocated for it to be included in this year's state budget, and our Allie Baxter followed up on this request to see if that funding will actually become a reality.
I think it's still open. I will say that the details of this budget and the 2026 budget are nowhere near complete.
Time is running out for Michigan lawmakers to pass a state budget. With an October 1st deadline, some organizations are wondering where their funding requests stand.
It's going to be just whose voice is loudest, potentially, and who can get in the room to advocate for what we need.
Representative John Roth has been working with Housing North, a nonprofit focused on housing advocacy in Region D, which includes Emmett, Charlevoix, Antrim, Kalkaska, Misaki, Wexford, Grand Traverse, Manistee, Benzie, and Leelanau counties.
There is progress being made. It's slow and it's small, and sometimes it can be disheartening and other times it can be a win and really exciting.
Since May, the nonprofit put a call out to residents of Region D, asking them to write to their lawmakers and request that a one-time $10 million Rapid Response Housing Fund be included in the state budget.
Really, it comes down to needing units and needing those available at any reasonable price point for someone who is living and working here. And we know that those are anywhere from our service industry to our teachers, police force, doctors, anesthesiologists, industry workers.
Sarah Van Horn is on the Housing North Board representing Charlevoix County. Part of the Rapid Response Housing Fund's goal is to give $1 million to each of the 10 Northwest counties to support small to medium housing projects.
The Northern Homes Community Development Corporation is doing that, and that was actually a project that could have benefited from a rapid response fund. You know, their gap was relatively small. They had multiple different sources going into it to make the numbers work.
With this project, Sarah explains it's adding 6 units to Charlevoix housing supply, which may seem small, but would still bridge the gap in building a year-round community.
If we keep those people in the community, they're contributing back to the community. You know, they could drive half hour, 45 minutes back to their house, but then we really just become where they work, or you know, they're not here to stay after work to participate in our events and give back to our community, serve on our school boards.
Representative Roth says he knows the value of getting this funding included. His challenge now is getting his other colleagues who represent downstate communities to see that too.
There's only 18 of us north of Clare, really. There's 130 representatives south of Clare. So that number is overwhelmingly more positive to the north or south. But when 18 of us stand up and are pretty tough together, we can get some things done.
In northern Michigan, Allie Baxter, UpNorthLive News.
And Representative Roth says that he plans on advocating more for this funding at the Michigan GOP conference on Mackinac Island. That is happening this weekend. Well, let's dig a little bit deeper into this conversation. Let's bring in our guest tonight, Yarrow Brown. She is the Executive Director for Housing North. Yarrow, thanks so much for being on Unscripted tonight.
Thanks for having me, Maya.
So we know there is still a lot up in the air when it comes to the state budget. As of right now, are you confident that this proposal will be included in the budget?
You know, I am always pretty confident. I like to be hopeful, but I do think we still have a long way to go. But we do have some time to make some impact. So I'm hopeful. And we just put out a call to action this week. So I think that could certainly help.
What is that call to action?
We're asking folks on our mailing list, anybody in the region, to reach out to the representatives. There are 7 reps and 3 senators, and ask them to support the Rapid Response Housing Fund, which is a $10 million request to the state budget to help support housing projects, gaps in housing projects in our region.
And it does sound like for Northern Michigan lawmakers, everyone is on board with this. But like we heard in Allie's story, the issue is getting those downstate lawmakers to support it. Obviously, like we heard, a lot more lawmakers downstate, and they're probably saying like, hey, we have a lot of people down here too. Why should we be putting all this money to the folks up north? What would you tell those lawmakers who feel that way?
I think this can be a model for other communities, and that we are hopeful that we can get this and get it started, that we struggle up north to be as competitive. We have a lack of infrastructure and a lack of the same opportunities as those in more populated parts of the state. So we really do need this fund to help get that housing going and help our communities make some progress towards housing. And we hope, like I said, it could be a model for other communities to consider and create their own fund at some point.
And we know that Housing North has a lot of different initiatives to try to bring more housing to Northern Michigan, make it more affordable and accessible. What exactly is the Rapid Response Fund, and how is that different from other things that Housing North is doing?
So this is a new initiative. We do have a small revolving loan fund that we're using right now, where we have helped to support year-round rental in Leelanau County, but we know that it is the biggest need right now is to get those projects over the finish line, and we feel like it is one of the 3 tiers that we focus on. So while we do communications and awareness and policy and advocacy, this capacity building is really critical. Our communities still are struggling to have those projects actually get built. While we're seeing a lot of projects in the market rate space, we really do need below market rate housing to support everyone in the community.
And you mentioned you are optimistic that this funding will be included in the state budget, but let's say worst case scenario, it doesn't make it into the final budget. Of course, it'll be a big blow, but you got to keep pushing forward, got to keep finding other ways to get money into this fund and continue to work on your mission. I guess, how would you move forward from there if, again, this funding isn't included in the state budget?
We're working on a feasibility study, so we'll be working with our region to hopefully fundraise and create the fund. The $10 million is obviously a way to incept the fund and get the funding in there to keep things going, but we would need to grow that and want to grow that beyond that 10 million. So we'll keep going, and we'll start to grow this fund even if we don't get it, but we will probably go back for it next year as well. And
again, we heard in Allie's story that at first, $10 million may seem like a big chunk of money, but then when it's passed out to 10 different communities, that's only $1 million per community, which maybe doesn't seem as much as the initial lump sum of $10 million. What impact, though, would that just $1 million to these 10 communities have?
I think it would still be huge. And, I think the more we can show and leverage that funding, the more people will want to invest in the fund and see it grow. But right now we're tracking over 3,000 projects that are in progress, and we know that there's more coming. And many of those we do feel that would be eligible for this fund.
So right now, if anyone's watching and they feel very passionate about this funding being included into the budget, the best thing they can do is, again, reach out to their lawmakers.
Yeah, exactly. Reach out to your lawmakers, talk to people, spread the word. You can go on our website, sign up for our email list, and you can get some example language on how you can talk about this with your legislators as well.
Anything else that you want to mention about this, Yarrow, that we haven't discussed yet?
Just that thanks to everyone who is passionate about this and spreading the word. We're really excited that our Northern Michigan caucus is really behind this, and we really hope that the rest of the state can get behind it as well. So, and thank you for the time. Yeah, thank you so much for coming on Unscripted. We really appreciate it. And if you want any more information about Housing North, you can head over to our website, UpNorthLive.com. Moving to our next story now. Our next story is moving kind of quickly, but courts certainly don't move quickly. They're designed in some ways to actually do the opposite of that. They are slow and methodical. It often leads to justice, but slow and methodical can take a toll on some of the evidence in some of those legal cases. A Michigan senator is looking to change that, and in the process, maybe lessen some of the burden on taxpayers. Mark Shillette has more.
When an animal is seized in the criminal justice system, they are classified as evidence. However, unlike many other forms of physical evidence, we cannot simply place these animals on a shelf in a locker and wait for the day that they may or may not be needed to be presented in court.
But under current Michigan law, animals seized as part of an abuse or neglect investigation often do have to wait, held as evidence as the legal case against their owner proceeds.
We all know that the criminal justice system is inherently slow.
So while the wheels of justice turn slowly, in some cases years, those animals sit and wait at animal control, at veterinarians, and at shelters.
Animals require daily care, food, exercise, and oftentimes medical treatment. Not to mention they take up a finite amount of space in our municipal animal shelters.
It's taxing on shelters, on budgets, and on the animals themselves.
The nicest, healthiest animal, I guarantee, will deteriorate and decline if housed in a shelter for a prolonged period of time.
For all of those reasons, Senator Dana Polhanke introduced these.
These bills would add an effective bond or forfeit process to these statutes that would apply when the animal is seized and the animal's owner is the defendant.
Bond or forfeit. In other words, a defendant can surrender the animals or help pay for the cost of care while the legal proceedings move forward.
The defendant can do one of three things. The defendant can request a hearing to determine if the cost of the bond is fair and reasonable, if the seizure was legally justified, or both. The defendant can pay the bond to retain ownership of the animals, or the defendant can do nothing and the animals are forfeited to the seizing agency after 14 days.
While the case plays out in court, that bond would help cover some of the costs of that necessary care, not by taxpayers, but by the animal's charged owner. Costs that can add up.
In 2024, at the Humane Society of Huron Valley, this issue resulted in 45 cruelty case animals in their care. Some were in their shelter for nearly 4 years, including puppies who'd grown up there. Together, these animals received over 20,000 days of care on the Humane Society's dime. At roughly $45 a day for care, they incurred $900,000 in costs.
The hope to take some of the financial and space strain off of shelters and ultimately get animals moving through the care system faster, even if the legal system doesn't move as quickly.
Together, these bills establish both accountability and prevention, protecting vulnerable animals while also safeguarding the public.
That was Mark Gillette reporting, and the bills passed the Senate just this morning. They're off to the House for its consideration. There is hope that once a budget is in place, they will take it up soon. We, of course, will keep you posted on its progress. Well, it is fall time, and it means some people are maybe thinking about getting some sort of vaccination. District Health Department number 10 has set up several COVID and flu vaccine clinics across northern Michigan. The new Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine is now available at District Health Department number 10 for everyone ages 5 years and older. District Health Department 10 Health Officer Kevin Hughes says, quote, "It's that time of the year where COVID-19 and flu begin to make their way around our community. It's important that residents are up to date on their vaccinations to help limit the spread of these viruses. Vaccinations are still the best way to reduce your risk of complication from severe infection, as well as protecting those around you. Even if you've never received a COVID-19 vaccine in the past, it's never too late to get vaccinated." With that being said, the health department is hosting public COVID-19 and flu walk-in clinics at the following locations, starting in Oceana County at St. Joseph Church. That'll be held on September 25th from 1 to 3. If you live in these areas and you're interested, maybe pull out your phone right now and take a picture of the screen. It's also over on our website. And in Ludington, there will be a clinic at the Senior Center on September 29th from 9 a.m. until 11 a.m. Over in, again, still Mason County, Scottsville Senior Center will be hosting a clinic on the 29th from 12 to 2. In Oceana County, Bear Lake Community Church will be hosting it on October 2nd from 10 a.m. until 12 p.m. Walk-in clinics are added weekly. However, residents can also schedule their flu and COVID vaccines by calling their local health department, pharmacy, or healthcare provider. So with that being said, let's take a look at our question of the day related to getting a vaccine. I'm trying to pull it up here on my computer to see how many votes we have. Will you be getting a COVID and or flu shot this season? We have 415 votes. So if you haven't voted yet, scan the QR code on your screen right now. You can also leave a comment over on our Facebook page. It's pretty split between yes or no. So be sure to vote, leave a comment, and we'll take a look at that at the end of the show. But right now we are gonna just take a quick break. Coming up next, Joe's going to have much more on our Friday forecast and a look ahead to the weekend. Stay with us.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Not as warm and sunny today as it's been the past couple of days, but still a fairly nice day across northern Michigan. A few showers here and there. But Joe, what can we expect for our Friday?
Yeah, it was, across northern Michigan, a decent day, especially up north. And then we had some showers south, but it looks pretty quiet tomorrow. I think a dry day as we head into Friday. You can kind of tell in our weather cameras too, we're closing in on not sunset quite yet, but within the hour. Whitefish Point, nice blue skies there, just a couple clouds at the bridge. Gaylord, a mostly cloudy sky, and then Cadillac's cloudy. As you head south, more in the way of clouds today. We'll start off showing you the setup. There is a cold front passing through northern Michigan, so you can actually, it's over central Michigan, heading downstate. You can kind of see the blue line there. Just along and ahead of that frontal boundary is where we did have some showers and a few thunderstorms developed today. And here's what it looked like on radar. Again, the northern portions of the area were dry. And then right down here, that's where we had some of that rain. Right there. So Manistee, Ludington seeing some rain. In fact, still raining around Ludington. Clare, you had a decent downpours of rain as well as some of these showers and thunderstorms worked through. Now that we're way past the peak heating of the day, I think some of these are going to come to an end. Even around Traverse City, right there at the end, you can see a couple spotty showers trying to work through that area. Here's how much rain fell in the last just 12 hours. Blacker Airport at Manistee picking up almost a ½ inch of rainfall there. It is cooler north. That's, again, where the front has passed by. Marquette's at 59. Newberry is only 63 currently. And then you get ahead of the front. Take a look at Lansing, for instance, at the state capitol. It's 85 degrees there. As far as rain, it's not a bad thing to get some. We could use a little more. It has been dry. We're not going to see any tomorrow, however. Probably kind of cloudy in the morning. Clouds should break up in the afternoon right there. Looks good for high school football tomorrow night. And then we head into Saturday. Now, if you're near Lake Michigan, you might get some rain. Manistee, Ludington, Frankfort, we're talking those areas. The rest of the region should stay dry. And then Sunday, that's when everybody has the chance of some passing showers and some thunderstorms right there during the day Sunday. So we'll keep an eye on that. That's probably the best chance for some rain over the next few days. It does not really cool down much either. Yes, it's a little cooler, but look at temperatures next week. I mean, that's pretty consistent, 70s. So that's what we're looking at. Looks like a warm stretch, considering we're now heading into mid to late September coming up here. And there's that forecast. Best chances for rain Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Scattered showers after that. Again, 70s, and next week, besides those showers, it does stay kind of quiet. So if you're looking for that, those 40s and 50s, those cool, crisp nights, Maya, not quite yet.
But they'll be here before we know it.
Some point, yeah.
They always creep up on us. All right, Joe, thanks so much. Let's take another quick break, but coming up next, we will have a preview of week 4 of high school football with sports director Harrison Beebe in just a few minutes. Well, it is already week 4 of high school football, and we're highlighting some of the matchups this week. Sports Director Harrison Beebe spoke to Traverse City Record Eagle sports writer James Cook about what to expect in this week's Jimmy John Sports Corner.
The following segment is sponsored by Jimmy John's of Traverse City.
Well, let's talk week 4, and we're starting with that round robin series that should be a good one between Kingsley, Boyne City, and Traverse City, St. Francis. St. Francis now ranked number 1 in Division 6, but we know all 3 are in the top 10, and we know we get our first look at how the round robin series will go this Friday night as Kingsley visits Boyne City.
Yeah, you got Kingsley's number 8 in Division 6. Boyne City's number 3. St. Francis, like he's mentioned, is number 1. And these two played 2 great games last year with Kingsley and Boyne, both 6-point games. So at the end of the day, it was a tied thing, but Boyne won the playoff game. So Kingsley's got to remember that, and they got a bad taste in their mouth from that.
Let's talk about the Highland Conference, where it usually goes through Beale City, but James, last year, McBain threw those plans out the window. They won the conference outright, and now they host Beale this year. So both teams are kind of want to really get a win in this one.
Yeah, this is kind of maybe a de facto Highland Conference title game, I think. Some other teams will want to obviously have a say in that, but these two teams have been, Beale's kind of dominated this series over the years, won more than 2/3 of the games or whatever. But in the last 8 years, McBain's actually won 5 of the 8 matchups, including last year. They pulled out a 4-point win, 29-25 against Beale on the way to their undefeated regular season.
And in the NMFC Legacy Division, we've got what appears to be the 2 best teams, though there's still a lot to sort out. Mantelona's looked pretty good this season. Maybe Frankfort can climb back into it, but East Jordan and Glen Lake scoring off Friday night in Leelanau County.
East Jordan, is coming off that loss against Kalkaska, a much bigger team, but a team that's kind of struggled lately. So I think they're going to have a big chip on their shoulder. Glen Lake's got the game at home and won last year, but I mean, that game last year was only 7-6. So just an extra point as the difference last year. So I think this should be another good game that can come down to the wire.
A lot of good matchups tomorrow. We'll have hometown highlights, taking a look at all of those highlights from the games at 11 o'clock on Friday. All right, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, we'll check in with the live results for our question of the day and read a few of your comments straight ahead.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Our question of the day has 434 votes. Will you be getting a COVID and or flu shot this season? Pretty split, with more folks, 52% leaning towards no, 48% saying yes. We have a whole lot of comments on our Facebook page, so if you want to read them all, you'll have to head over to Facebook because I don't have time to touch even the surface. I will read a couple. Betty says, I got both of mine today, as well as an updated pneumonia vaccine. And Patricia says doing well without them. So no, never. She will not be getting the vaccine. Again, head over to Facebook page to leave your comments and read the entire conversation because we are all out of time. But thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you back here at 11 o'clock tonight.